Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot with Melrose. This is the Tarot portion in the second half of my daily astrology post, the first half of which you can find on my other channel, Astrology Today with Melrose. The idea behind the second post is to provide some further intuitive insight into the day's energies based on the day's aspects. First, I'll discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page. Then I'll do a quick rundown of the day's astrology before I throw a random card that will give us something more to think about. Let's get into it, shall we? So the tarot card that sits on the side of the page right now is the Ten of Swords. And in astrology, it represents the third decan, or the third 10 days, the last 10 days of the sun's transit through Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. Swords in tarot are air, so this is where we kind of get that linkage. And air, the air element is very much about how we use our thoughts and words, how we make our plans, and somewhat also like the casual actions that we make. Okay, so but especially how we use our thoughts and words. And here we find ourselves at the Ten of Swords, and I think it's safe to say that we've come to the end of some kind of road. You see this person sort of laying, looking rather dead. I see red clothes, but I don't see any blood. But they have 10 swords sticking out of the back of their body. So, if swords are thoughts and words, then somebody has betrayed you, right? This is very Caesar's death kind of moment. There's some backstabbing involved and this sense of having been defeated. And it's really unexpected. Like when something like this happens, unfortunately, we rarely get to see it coming. So, and because it's unexpected, it's kind of unavoidable. Like we couldn't help but, get stabbed in the back 10 times. Things beyond our control sometimes can leave us feeling like a victim. And it is important to acknowledge when you have been mistreated. Okay, it's important to acknowledge when things have gone bad, all right? But we only get to linger in that victimized mindset for so long. Okay, the point of this being the end of a road is not that, we lay down and die at this point. It's that we start over. We get a new idea. We have a different kind of conversation. We talk to different people, And the good news about this, there's a couple pieces of good news about this. First of all, if you find yourself in a Ten of Swords situation where you have been betrayed, where people have used their thoughts and their words and their plans against you and left you sort of out in the cold, at least, to say the least, you know who your friends aren't, right? You know who you cannot rely on, and that gives you a better idea also of who your friends are, because not everybody's going to be in that group, right? That's my hope. The other good news is it's the end of it's an ending, right? Because you know who isn't your friend anymore. You don't have to spend your time trying to get along with those people or to collaborate with those people, to share your best ideas with those people anymore. You've been betrayed. They've stabbed you in the back. We leave them alone. We move on. We make a fresh start. All right. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle some cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Gemini. And the sun in Gemini represents the outer life in sort of a very playful, kind of talkative vibration. We want to collect data, information, ideas. We want to share data, information, and ideas. It's a very creative, intellectually creative time. So again, be careful be mindful of the way you're using your words, because you have a lot of power when you open your mouth to speak things, right? We have a lot of power. We have the power to bring another person down. We have the power to bring ourselves down. So we have to be really intentional about what we speak into existence. And the sun in Gemini is here to remind us of that. The moon is a waxing gibbous in Scorpio, making ingress to Sagittarius this afternoon, where it will be when it's full in a couple of days. So that's on Tuesday. Today, the moon is still a waxing gibbous, so we are still working toward doing the legwork, making the phone calls, spending the money, getting the stuff together that we have to get together in order to meet this goal or arrive at some sort of culmination or partial culmination. Okay, so the moon in Scorpio has been a great time for just getting things done, and the moon in Sagittarius just adds a little fire and perhaps a little bit of impatience to get this stuff tied up so we can go ahead and get to our celebration, because that's what Sagittarius wants to do. And then, on the moon side today, and this is, our inner life, the things we think, feel, know, and intuit, who we are when we're at home and among the people that we love. In the inner life, we have some interesting things going on today. Moon goes square to Saturn and then trine to Neptune. Sun's going to go square to Neptune and trine to Saturn. Venus is going to go square to Saturn and sextile to Neptune. So we've got this sort of Neptune and Saturn interaction here that just shows how complementary it is. That when we don't feel stable, when we struggle with feeling as though we have the resources that we need, or we struggle to feel as though we are financially or just physically supported in the world, we're going to, when we have that struggle, then we're going to have a blessing on this end that says, yes, but you can lean on your friends and family. You have a network for that reason. And, it's really blessed. It's really a blessing of being able to feel your connection to other people and them being able to feel their connection to you. So you can have a little faith when you're not certain. You can have a little faith in yourself and others that things are going to work out okay. Moon sextile Pluto today. Connect with somebody else today, and it may help you gain an insight. And then this void of course moon at 4:40 goes in opposition to Mercury, which is this sort of double-edged sort of consciousness. We can it's not quite a mood swing, it's just a mental swing, right? Between being hyper analytical or hypercritical one moment and completely calm and functional the next. Our brain can be sort of switching on and off at this time. So whatever it is that's coming up for us, that's sort of getting in our way to cogitate, to function well. We have about an hour void of course today where we can get into our journaling, do our meditation, set our intentions with ourselves. And then at 5:30 this afternoon, Moon makes that ingress to Sagittarius, fanning the flames of adventure, friends. On the sun side of the page, and this is where we experience our outer life, our work, social and civic lives, the way we engage with people outside our homes. Venus is conjunct with Uranus right now. That was yesterday and today. This was a harbinger of odd attractions. And just said, Venus is going to feel, our receptive quality is going to feel under pressure somehow to change the way we do something. And, we get to take that under consideration as to whether or not we're going to do it. But to be aware that because Uranus is quite shifting and changing, whatever it is that we might choose at this time that is out of the ordinary probably will not last very long. Mercury trine Pluto here with us through the 19th of June. Golden blessing of insight, friends. Whatever is coming up needs to come out. It needs to find expression. We don't have to express it with just anybody and everybody, but it would be good to write it down or to share with somebody. And again, that trine functioning is really very harmonious. Whatever you feel called to do with the information that's coming up, go ahead and let it out. Pluto is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde. Pluto is retrograde in a Saturn-ruled sign, Capricorn. So, and then Saturn is retrograde in a Saturn-ruled sign, Aquarius, right? So this is all about the foundations. It's about, the challenge of feeling certain, the challenge of knowing what you can lean on for stability, in terms of structures, in terms of networks, the stuff that makes us feel supported has been in flux and has been changing a lot lately. And now, it's the stuff on the inside that makes me feel supported. It's the things, the habits that I have, the ways of being that I have that I've been leaning on for my whole life, probably, or for a long time. I have to go in and check the structural integrity of those things right now and ask myself if my ways of being, some of my ways of being aren't sort of getting in the way of my own progress. So that's really a lot what that is about. And with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. Okay, the Eight of Cups. So in this case, it would be easy to be mourning a loss, right? The Eight of Cups is like we made an emotional or creative investment in something or somebody. It might have been a relationship of any kind, or it might have been some creative project that we put a lot of our heart into, thinking it would fulfill some idea of, good expression, but then it just didn't. And so it's a disappointment, and we have to count it as a loss, and we have to let the investment go, right? We just have to leave it behind. The good news is bottomless well of love to be tapped from at all times. If you're willing to tap into it, you always have more love. You always have more intuition. You always have more creativity. Okay, so it would be normal and natural to be feeling a loss at this time, and it's also normal and natural to acknowledge the loss, absolutely, but understand that it's going to have to be left behind and we'll have to carry on. And that's like the same, it's really kind of the same sentiment, except both of these people are in pain of some kind, right? And both of these people are acknowledging a loss. This person has other things they can go off to do, right? This person has to start completely over. This person is starting not quite over from scratch, because there's always more of those resources. But there's always more of these resources too. You can always have more original thoughts and words and collaborations with people. So yes, acknowledge the loss and understand that there is a next thing coming up, and it will be more satisfying than what you thought you were getting in the first place. I believe that's all I have to say about that today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate your presence with me. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.